Welcome back to Inside the Ring, boxing's official show of record. I'm your host, Max Kellerman. That is longtime heavyweight contender Chris Arreola. That's our insider, or as we call him, snitch or informant, Mike Coppinger. And that is Shady McCoy. Yes, the football player, real boxing fan. All right, guys, we have a lot of stuff to get into. Some amazing moments from the Eubank Jr. Benn press conference for their rematch. Let's get right into the lead hook. A lot of news is coming out of the Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn press conference. Here's something making waves out of the presser. Listen to this.
After the fight, due to severe dehydration, I'm put in an ambulance and I have to go to hospital. I was actually so dehydrated that one of the toenails on my big toe fell off. It actually fell off. It's grown back about halfway now. But anyway, I'm in this ambulance.
Jesus, not a toenail.
I'm in the ambulance. And
you still got it?
These scumbags blocked that ambulance from leaving the stadium for 20 minutes.
By the way, this is an intriguing. I'll keep going because this is all being noted because it's absolute waffle.
20 minutes.
Waffle.
Waffle. I'm laying there in a gurney, oxygen mask on, and the car cannot move. They will not open the gates to let us leave.
I mean, that's a lot there. That's a big, heavy accusation to make of promoter, right? That he blocked your exit to the hospital, especially a combat sport like boxing. That's dangerous. But also Eddie Hearn kind of making fun of, your toenail falling off. The point is not that it's a toenail. The point is that the claim that is being made is that I was so dehydrated, something weird happened to my body. It doesn't matter that it was a toenail. That's not supposed to happen. And this is all after the egg slap incident where Eubank slapped Conor Benn with an egg. It's like WWE style stuff, right? They had a great fight the first time, but let's start with the dehydration.
Yeah.
And
that's big, man.
Like I really hate the fact that weigh-ins are not still day of fight. You know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Originally, well, there's an egg slap from the first.
That was an egg right there.
What?
Oh my God.
Sunny side up
That was
slap.
funny.
Those two guys hate each other.
They hate each other, but like
You can tell.
originally, the idea of doing weigh-ins a day before the fight was because fighters were dehydrating day of, and it was dangerous. But all that happened when you moved the weigh-in a day before, and now in the morning of the day before, all that's happened is fighters are dehydrating even more.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's happening. Guys are not fighting in the right weight division. Guys are fighting at middleweight. You know they're walking around over 180 pounds. They're trying to melt off 15, 20 pounds, Mike.
Well, also, Eubank for this fight, he fights at 68, and this fight was at 160, and he had a rehydration clause where he couldn't gain more than 10 pounds the next day. But that's the sacrifice he made, right, for a fight against against Conor Benn, who's a 147-pounder, fought a couple of times at 54, but a much smaller guy.
And by the way, Eubank was a favorite, and Benn fought an inspired fight. What did you think of?
It was a fun fight. It was a very fun fight. One thing that Ben did was the first 4 rounds, he came balls to the wall. He just wanted to win that fight. If he had the energy to continue that fight and that pace, I think you would be able to stop him. But being Eubank is just such a good boxer, and he just adapted so quick in that fight. But it was a great fight. It was a great, fun fight, especially the last 3 rounds. They were just
It was the
balls
best
to the wall.
version of what that possibly could have been.
Absolutely.
The drama and Chris Eubank Sr. before the fight, and then the inspired way in which they fought, the ebbs and flows. The favorite was in danger at the very end.
Yeah.
Like it could not have been a better version of what it might have been. Have you, real quick before I get to you, Shady, have you ever been through anything like what Eubank is describing, not being allowed to exit to get to the hospital?
After I fought Adam Karnacki in New York, in Brooklyn, I had my hands were broken. I wanted to go to the press conference, but they said, no, you got to go to the hospital. Getting out the hospital, it took about 45 minutes just to get out in Brooklyn. But then again, it's traffic, man. You got it. I don't think they were trying to sabotage him, but then again, you got to know the traffic.
In other words, he could be telling the truth from his point of view. Eddie Hearn is saying,
Eddie
is
Hearns,
disputing it.
yeah.
But Eubank could be telling the truth from his point of view. we were not allowed to leave. But
Yeah,
it may not be anything that the
absolutely.
promoter's doing, because in your case, you didn't want to go to the hospital. You wanted to go to the press conference. They made you go to the hospital, and
Yeah.
you had to wait to go to the hospital.
Exactly. Not only that, the traffic was bad. Then once you get to the hospital, it's New York. That
Yeah,
hospital.
yeah,
But are you guys surprised at this? I'm not surprised. If you really watch the build up to this fight, you put the dimension of the fathers at it, right? Going at it. Okay, then you go to the fighters. You could tell some bad tension between them dudes, right? You look at the egg slap, Eubank slap Conor Benn, and then the pissed off version of them two fighting with each other, and then you get to the fight. At the first 4 rounds, Conor Benn was going for blood. He wasn't setting no punches up. It was all haymakers. There was a lot of power shots, and then as the fight went on, you see Eubanks with the experience show. But I love that fight. And everything with the Eddie Hearns, with the egg slap, I'm all for it. That's what boxing needs. We need all that build-up.
You're pluralizing everyone's name. Hearns and Banks.
Yeah.
You're pluralizing
Come on,
everyone's
man.
name. There's only one of them. All right, Cop. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Look, I mean, I agree with what you said. That was the best version of that fight. I think it's going to be hard for the rematch to top the first meeting, and if it does, that would be one hell of a fight. Chris Eubank's a lot bigger than Conor Benn.
Yeah.
And I thought he did an amazing job with his jab. It seemed like he figured out Conor Benn over the second half of the fight. Now, can Conor Benn make the adjustments to somehow even the score?
Let me tell you why I do think it's going to be another great fight. I think you throw around the word great, and it was contested at a certain level. This is not Crawford and
Correct,
Canelo,
yeah.
right?
Right.
But it was a world-class level.
Yeah.
It may not have been the highest world, but
Right.
it was a world-class level. Sometimes when you get, but it was a great fight. It was a great fight. It's a memorable fight. The crowd was into it. Sometimes you get a blood rivalry, like a family feud,
Yeah.
right? I remember when Layla Ali, who had dedicated herself to boxing for years at that point, fought Jackie Frazier. They're looking for opponents because there aren't a lot of female fighters at the time that certainly the public knows. Jackie Frazier wasn't a professional boxer, but she got in shape for Layla Ali, and they fought a tough 10 rounds. Jackie Frazier wasn't supposed to last 10 rounds. She fought a tough 10 rounds because, as Larry Merchant once said about Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, one of my favorite boxing quotes, Larry has a lot of those, they were fighting for the heavyweight championship of each other. Wow. Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn, right? Like that British era of middleweights was so intense that when you get a family rivalry like that, you have Eubank and Benn. They're fighting. Forget about any championship. They're fighting for the championship of each other. Mike, I expect another great fight.
Yeah, and Max, now that you mention it, though, there is more at stake this time because this was a 2-fight deal, so the rematch was always guaranteed. Obviously, you'd have to make a new deal for a third fight. As you know, in boxing, it's always a lot tougher to make materialize if there is a demand for it. And if Chris Eubank wins, I think there's a good chance we see Canelo Alvarez against Eubank next year. Make a lot of sense for Canelo. Coming off the loss to Crawford, Canelo's long wanted to fight in England, or maybe you do it in Riyadh. But Eubank obviously would be into it, and you do it at 68.
And it's a storyline. That's what sports loves. Sports loves storylines, right? You talk about the fathers going at it. And then I look at even, they hated each other, right? And sometimes you try to sell a fight, and then guys after the fight, they apologize. No, not these two. Everything that they said before the fight, they said after the fight. And that's why it's going to be another banger when they fight.
Not only, what I really want to watch, I really would want to watch is if Eubanks wins the Canelo fight with him. That's another thing that would just bring Canelo back into the picture. You know, we got to get him back into the picture. He needs a fight like that, someone like that. You know, fight him in the UK. It'll be a big money-making fight. Why not make it happen?
By the way, I'll give you another one. Terrence Crawford might be, if he continues to fight, might be looking for an opponent. You need a big name to make a big event.
Big market.
While, for example, maybe the middleweights sort things out so that Crawford could maybe do a two-fight deal, right? You beat Eubank, because Crawford would be heavily favored, right? In a big event like that, and then your next fight is for whoever kind of puts those belts together at middleweight. You become the Ring Magazine middleweight champion, first real five-division champion.
That thing up over there, Max.
I mean, it could happen.
That could happen. Yeah, that
the
could
point
happen.
is, and not to look past Ben, Eubank is the bigger, better fighter. Yeah. But we're assuming that Eubank wins. He's the favorite once again for a reason.
I'm betting on Conor.
Guys, this is just one of the great fights coming out of the UK. What do you guys make of the recent revival of British boxing? I won't even call it a revival. I'll say I don't know that British boxing has ever been this big. And of course, Joshua Dubois and Usyk and Dubois, they're doing big numbers, and Tyson Fury and a lot of, not to mention the lighter weight fighters. If you walk down the street in England somewhere, the average person is more aware of boxing than people in the United States, right? It's a more popular sport. What do you make of the revival? Anyone have any theories?
No, what you said is true. It's not a revival, it's a renaissance, really.
Renaissance.
I mean, boxing's bigger than it's ever been, like you said, in the UK. And you saw Chris Eubank taking shots at Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn has a new show on Netflix, and I give Eddie Hearn a lot of credit for boxing being so big in the UK right now. He's done a lot of big fights over the last 15 years. And I've been in the UK 3 times this year already. Like you said, Max, you're right. You go in anywhere you go. Now, look, not the barbershops for me, but anywhere you go, people are like, oh, who's going to win? Eubank, Ben, the taxi
You
drivers.
Simonize your head,
But
yes.
Yes.
America's just been on a drought. We've been in a drought for so many years, man. We haven't had no good amateurs that are coming out. There have been no big heavyweights that are coming out. So all the heavyweights, they're playing football,
Right.
playing basketball because they're getting paid. They ain't gonna try to get punched in the head for $10,000.
Can I ask you this though, Max? Do you think it's because over there now they will fight each other? I think in America, some of us, it takes 3-4 years just to get the fight that everybody wants. Where over there, they lining them up and they fighting.
I think that what Chris said is like at the root of it, at the heart of it. If you look at American football, the NFL in the 1970s, if you're an offensive lineman, you're making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. If you could get a title shot at Muhammad Ali, there might be $500,000 in it for you, right? So there was incentive for big, strong, tough athletes to fight.
Right.
And now there are literally hundreds and hundreds of multi-million-dollar jobs in the NFL, for example.
Yeah,
so the heavyweight division dries up, right?
Yep.
Now you're looking at the lighter fighters in boxing, and for a variety of reasons, which are, I mean, we could do a whole show on why. That's dried up on American television because it's
Stagnant.
for many reasons. But the simple way of saying it is, it has not been exposed to the masses on platforms that are accessible to everybody. So people don't know the fighters involved, which is why Mike Tyson can still spar an exhibition at the age
With
of
Jake
55
Paul.
and it does monster
That
numbers.
was a great history lesson right there, though.
Yeah.
Right? That was like something like what's that called?
What's that called? School? School? Are you talking about school?
No, I'm thinking of
Class?
a freaking class in college. That was pretty good, though. That was like a whole history lesson.
I'm just assuming
It's
you did not
early
have
for-
to go to
it's
your
early for-
Shady
with the
McCoy
class.
at
I'm
college.
with the class.
At Pitt, I don't know what they were saying for the star players at Pitt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Student athlete.
Because notice you weren't a fighter, you were a football player, right?
I could fight, though.
Yeah, but you didn't go into boxing, did you?
I used to box, not professionally, but I used to box.
Yeah, but
you
there was-
talk about the money standpoint.
Right.
You know, yeah.
there you go.
Boxing's too risky. Boxing's too risky for parents. Boxing's too risky for kids. You know, the hardest thing about boxing, in my opinion, is getting hit. To learn to get hit. You can learn. I've seen kids that throw beautiful combinations in the bag, but once you throw them in the ring, they get hit. They're like, what do I do?
Yeah,
They
by the
want-
way,
they-
everyone's like, oh, that's easy to hit the bag, it doesn't hit back. Go hit a bag for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not so easy, actually.
not
Even go
easy.
3-minute rounds on
It's
the
just
bag.
like kids. Kids, you put them in the hit drill. Oh, you're gonna see the ones that are gonna cheese up real quick.
But you said before we were off air, coming into this segment, you were talking about fights that you lost that were
Yeah.
fun for you because they were wars.
They're
What
not
was
built
fun
like
about
Chris.
it?
Honestly, to me, it may not be fun to another guy, but if two guys find each other and they're just beating the shit out of each other and they're like have a respect for one another,
Yeah.
like after the round, the guy hit me, I'm like, holy shit, I'm like, good job. You know, you get a sense of respect, and it's fun
But
to me.
It's fun. What's fun about? See, that's the point. Is
The
you
fun-
have to
the
have a
fun is that-
screw loose to be a high level fighter
That's
like
fun,
that.
huh?
honestly, it's
Like
fun.
fun, like going to roller coaster fun, or like
It's fun like you're experiencing something with someone that only you two can experience.
Okay.
You ain't lying about
You
that.
only could
Well said.
you could only understand what he's going through, and he understands what I'm going through.
Yeah.
That's what
And
I
to
always
me,
liked
to
at
me,
the
it's
end.
fun.
That's what I always liked at the end of fights when fighters come together.
Yes.
You go through it against each other, but you also did something together. You go
Right.
through it with each other
Yep.
too, right?
It's a sense of respect. It's a sense of like, you know what? No one could take this moment away from us.
Right. Okay.
That's a camaraderie. That's the beauty of me in boxing. Of phone booth boxing. Phone booth boxing when you're like both
Right.
inside and just trying to.
So after
the
this
crap out
show,
of each
me and
other
Mike,
up.
we're going to punch each other in the face. Well, I'm going to be punching him in the face, and it's going to be fun for you.
It's gonna be a lot of
But
fun.
the point is also that this is a very wealthy country.
Right.
And a
Yes.
lot of people aren't doing well, and I understand that. But poverty in this country, for most, not for everybody,
Right.
for most, is not the same as poverty in developing countries,
Manny
for
Pacquiao
example.
coming from-
Oh, right, yeah.
And so in the lighter weight divisions or throughout boxing, if the heavyweights are taken by the NFL and to an extent the NBA, the lighter weight divisions, to have that kind of mentality that Chris Arreola has where this is fun, that's not for everybody.
Look, Max, two guys that are still fighting in heavyweights, and we're talking about UK boxing. Fury and Joshua, the fight was first being discussed in 2020. I think it's going to happen next year, and I think it's still going to be a massive fight. Maybe even like the Mayweather-Pacquiao effect, where the fight is bigger than ever, even if it would have been a better
Pent-up demand.
Skillful fight years ago.
And to bring it back to
Fury
what's
and
up
Joshua?
with the renaissance or this birth of popularity, because it's probably bigger than it's ever been in England right now. To bring it back there, in the English-speaking world, there's a lot of money in that world, in the Western Hemisphere, right? If there is a vacuum created in the United States of America, that will be filled somewhere else, right? In this case, that also may have something to do with it. There was a void created in the United States where boxing largely dried up, and it was filled largely by Eddie Hearn and what he's done in England.
But just think, how big is Fury Joshua in 2026? Even with Fury coming off of 2 losses to Usyk, but 2 amazing fights, especially the first fight was incredible. I think it's the biggest fight in British history by a mile.
When that fight airs,
or by a kilometer.
Mike, make sure you let me know though, because I'm gonna empty all my accounts and I'm betting on Tyson Fury.
I think that's a good bet.
Listen. I don't know what it is, and help me out here, because I don't want to be that type of guy, but I got to be that type of guy. I don't see what the super hype is with Anthony Joshua. I really don't see it.
The gold medal.
I see it.
He won a gold medal.
Hold on, let me tell you.
Knocked out Vladimir Klitschko
years
in a
ago.
great heavyweight
Years
fight.
ago, right.
He beat Joseph Parker. I know that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff already I just said.
But when I see him, I see a guy.
He beat Ruiz in a rematch.
I see him quit a lot too, though.
I see Joshua Parker beat him now. Joshua could beat him now.
He went down swinging against
am I
Daniel
tripping?
Dubois. I mean,
Man,
when you say
he got his
quit, what
ass
do you mean?
beat.
I
Listen,
don't know about he
listen,
didn't quit.
That fight, I thought he quit. I thought
In
he
which
quit.
fight?
I thought he quit.
In which fight?
Which fight? Yeah.
Against Dubois. I thought against Dubois he quit. How?
I mean,
His brain quit working when he got hit in the head.
He was getting his ass kicked and he's laughing and smiling to the crowd. I'm thinking like, what? Lock in.
He got knocked out trying to land the big right hands.
Man, listen.
I didn't see Joshua
All I'm
quit.
saying is, I've been watching Joshua and I'm trying to figure out all the hype y'all keep talking. I don't see it. I just don't see it.
I just gave you like 5 things.
Man,
You saw all 5 things.
And Shady's mind's already made up.
I just gave you one.
This dude.
He's a body of Tarzan. That's what I always say.
And he fights like who?
James.
Fight like James.
Oh, really?
Dude got muscles in his neck. He got muscles in his eyebrows and can't fight a lick.
Yeah, this is a tough crowd, boy.
Shoot.
All right. We still have a lot more to
lost
get
money on
to.
him.
For those of you watching on YouTube, head over to DAZN. Catch our interview with David Benavides. That's next right here on Inside the Ring.